Happy Juneteenth, everybody. Welcome to the Big Old Belt Wrestling Podcast, where tonight we're going to be talking about the Black Wrestling Podcast 50 that just dropped. AEW just went to Mexico. We would definitely be talking about that show. And Goldberg looks to be kicking off his retirement tour with Gunther in his crosshairs. All that and more in tonight's episode of the Big Old Belt Wrestling Podcast. Let's get into that right now.
Big Old Belt, Big Old Belt, Big Old Belt, Big Old Belt, Big Old Belt. All I really want is that Big Old Belt, Big Old Belt, Big Old Belt, Big Old Belt, Big Old Belt. All I really need that Big Old Belt.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Big Old Belt Wrestling Podcast. Jamal and I are going to be your duo hosts for all things pro wrestling this week. Happy Juneteenth, as I say, as we kick off the show. Definitely have a lot of things to talk about in the world of pro wrestling tonight. Jamal, how you doing, man? It's been a while since I've been on the show. Y'all been doing y'all thing, but ultimately haven't caught up with you in a little bit. How's everything?
Good. You know, it's a lot going on right now. We're at that type of that part of the summer before the All-Star break in baseball, where it's just so much sports happening.
Yeah,
and then give it a month, and we're going to be like, good Lord, can SummerSlam come fast enough?
Yeah, and it's crazy too, because you say that and like I'm overwhelmed by that aspect of it, but like we're just in the heat of like big blockbusters for film and big returns for big series are also coming back. The Bear being one I'm thinking about. It's just a lot of things to watch and consume right now, and obviously for us as we cover it all, the team is divide and conquering, which is a little part of my absence, but nonetheless. We're going to have that all for you over at bigoldbelt.com. So, yeah, you're looking for movies, you're looking for pop culture. Hell, San Diego Comic-Con is in just about a month from now. Yeah. Things are just ramping up more and more for us, and we're happy to be busy. But, yes, we're here to talk pro wrestling tonight. And the first thing, which just I believe I saw the tweet earlier, and I went to the Nationals games, where they finally got a win. What was it, like a 13-game losing streak or something? Yeah, had a good old walk off in the 11th inning.
And you made it before the rain, so that's a plus.
The rain is an understatement.
Yeah,
the monsoon that had hit DC.
True.
But I saw the tweet earlier about it coming, and then obviously in our prep meeting, it did drop, and that is the Black Wrestling Podcast. Shout out to the folks there, dropping their 7th annual 50, which if you don't know, definitely step over to blackwrestling.com, and you'll see that they just dropped their 2025 #BRP50 list. And this is a list, basically, 7th year of highlighting and spotlighting their top 50 African Americans in pro wrestling. And I think there's no better day to do that than to celebrate it on Juneteenth. So that's definitely where we're going to start off with. So in that list here, I think we should I think the best and most appropriate way. And first of all, let's put a disclaimer here that really shouldn't be a disclaimer, but we'll put the disclaimer here with these lists, because people get their panties in a bunch. This is a celebration and a spotlighting of talent. There's no jury, there's no judge, jury, or executioner to this, shall I say. There's thought obviously in it, and there's definitely prep and work behind it. But people get all hell bent, like how can that and da. Listen, let's take it for what it is. It is a celebration, the spotlight of this talent. This is the work by them. And we're here to talk about some of the names that we see on there, and just our thoughts about it. And I'm going to tell you right now, the one that easily jumps out to me is somebody that he's not necessarily local, but he definitely hits the roads within this Mid-Atlantic region, and that's Darius Carter, because I still feel like he's probably the best kept secret still, and he's continuously working, he's expanding. And folks, if you know, but like him being celebrated at number 4, I definitely like that, because I think when you look at the top 3, and then the next name you see is Darius Carter, you may say, well, who is that? In case you might have been hiding under a rock. So I definitely think that's a good place to put somebody in the likes of Bianca Belair, Mercedes Moné, Oba Femi, who's number 1. Then number 5 is Naomi. So like you easily look at that name and you say, I need to look it up. I need to see what he's up to. And yes, as we say all the time, and I know he's done some work with NWA, but like it's criminal we're not seeing him on our television screen weekly, especially considering that his gimmick has been robbed on numerous occasions by other folks that's getting TV time. So I definitely really do appreciate and think that's a great placement for him. What about you, man? What's some names you see stick out to you, and any comments behind them?
Yeah, so for that same reason, AJ Francis at number 10 was a guy that was kind of like, you know what, that's actually well deserved. Left WWE, came through, not necessarily on the best of terms. Easily, had to find his way in the Indies, had to find his way in TNA, and did a thing. And it's like, oh, okay, no, he's actually putting it together. And I don't know whether or not that's the how much of that is WWE's doing, to where his career trajectory was, and how much of that is on him. But it's good to see him find his footing after leaving there, as so many others have. Another one, I just think the irony given the state of current events. Now, a couple things that should be mentioned with this. Number one, this is the Black Rasslin Podcast, top 50 list, and it highlights people from May 2024 to May 2025 based on certain criteria. So this is their list with their standards. Okay, cool. But given the irony of Ron Killings being at number 50, it is interesting, that he's number 50. I wonder if certain events had happened, would he be higher? Would he be lower? But that's also a thing too. I don't know how R-Truth, Ron Killings, K-Quick, whatever you want to call him, isn't top 10 on this list next year if he doesn't win a major championship in WWE this year. Yeah. That's just great. But yeah, we mentioned the top 5: Naomi, Darius Carter, Bianca Belair, Mercedes, and Oba Femi. Now the question is, where's Swerve?
Ooh.
Right. So I don't know if that's an oversight. I don't know if that's the criteria kicking in.
Right.
But kind of hard to believe Swerve doesn't make this list.
I don't want to speculate. I don't want to add any commentary. I don't want to do anything but celebrate. But, yep. In the statement, I'll go with the oversight one here.
Okay.
Shout out to Swerve, man. Regardless, we know the impact that he's making in AEW. And honestly, I was thinking about this the other day, and I didn't watch AEW this week, so we'll talk about that when we talk about that. But when you really do, when people kind of talk about the pillars of AEW, what founded it, I hear that, and I think that argument is probably is a valid argument. We talk about the likes of MJF and Darby Allin and Ricky
Starr. It's funny how those pillars change between then and now.
Yeah, so now at the point now, because every once in a while you gotta do some maintenance in the house to keep the foundation going. And when I think about the top people in AEW now, I do think it is Swerve. I think it is Hangman, and I think it's oh my God, why is his name slipping out of my head? From the UK.
Ospreay.
Ospreay. That's the three. And I know you might want to throw Moxley in there. Yes, no, maybe. But I definitely think those three are 100% that triangular roof that you just got new siding, roofing put on it. So
I mean, to be fair, I think Tony Storm is the fourth pillar.
True. I can see that. I can get with that too. But yeah. Going back to the list and people I see here, yeah, another name that kind of jumps out to me is Athena. I think for the short little blurb of a moment where she had something going on with Mercedes Moné, did it feel more mainstream? But I will continue to say that Athena has been working at an elite level of pro wrestling for like the last 3 years solid.
Yeah,
Just a
shout out
little
to
hard to
whoever
ponder at
voted for
times.
her. Yeah, shout out to whoever who with the Honor Club subscription that voted for her because, being number 8 stuck behind the paywall of Honor is quite a feat within itself. Because she's not just fighting the booking, she's fighting the paywall, and still made it to number 8 in this list. So
yeah,
that takes a special level of talent right there. But okay, so since we've gone over the top. And the names that we know. Who are some names that you may not have been familiar with that you're gonna be taking a peek at?
That's a good question. I don't know if there's anybody I don't necessarily. Actually, I do not know who Isaiah Broner is.
Yeah, never heard of Isaiah Broner. I don't know Stephen Wolf specifically.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you. I'm
do?
sure. I'm confident you do. We've been wrestling for a while. Yeah, not he's not getting to his personal life, but you may also know his partner as well too, Hyon, who's been wrestling for.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and honestly,
okay, I'm done.
To that point, so I'm like, it's been a little while since I've seen him do stuff, and that's because I haven't been like neck deep into the indies,
right?
Like before. But but I just quickly looked up Isaiah Bronner, and obviously it's not hard to put somebody's name in Google,
Bing.
And I like the look. Definitely gives me a little bit of O'Shea, which is that's the homie.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not like a gimmick infringement that I'm stating there. But it's like you feel the intensity,
mm-hmm.
And you kind of get an idea of the type of style of wrestling. He's done some work in O'Shea wrestling. He worked with Suge, worked with Calvin Tankman, which honestly, aesthetic alone, that looks like that could have been an insane fight. So. Yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye out on him for sure. And again, that's what these lists are about. Is really about the celebration of these folks going out there, looking them up, and seeing what they're all about, and seeing why Black wrestling knows about them and why you should too.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's another reason we're really just taking a look at it because of the fact that they went through the trouble of collating this list and. Whether you agree with it or not, of course, is a different, conversation to be had. But it is kind of like, for me, it's really interesting to see how a lot of names, especially around the top, obviously, stay the same. Sugar Duncanton at number 9. Sugar will never get the credit he's deserved, ever. Yeah. And there's no way that he doesn't know it, but Sugar Duncanton, if there were a legitimate pro wrestling Hall of Fame. He would be a guy that's in it.
Yeah,
his career's over. Easy.
Or he's would already been in it and still wrestling. Is the way I would see it because
for sure, easy. Yeah. But another one of those guys. Ricochet at 7 is kind of a surprise. Not because, just because. Why 7? But okay. Trick Williams, 6, Naomi 5, Darius Carter, God bless him, at 4, Bianca, Mercedes, and Obafemi. Obafemi's have just had a hell of a run. Trick Williams had a hell of a run.
Yeah.
Mercedes in number 2, I can't argue against it because when I saw her last night, she had like 9 belts on her neck, and she's definitely being booked as like the female Kenny Omega, and she's finally moving, finding her stride in AEW and moving into meaningful feuds, and it's going to be her versus Toni Storm in a month. So it took a minute to get there, but she's really coming into her own, and I ain't mad at it. And that's saying something for AEW because we know their track record with developing women's wrestlers and women's storylines. So. Mercedes at 2 it seems like a stretch, but then if you do the math, that's kind of hard to argue against. But then again, and that's of course the other thing about the list, any list. No, Naomi's at 5, Mercedes at 2. Maybe you flip flop them Bianca's at 3, Mercedes at 2. How does that happen? Suge's at 9, but then you got Jade at 14. I don't know, but so there is that. But either way, blackrasslin.com, RASSLIN.com.
Boy, that boy, country wrestling.
Well, yeah. My monitor has diabetes. Be pronouncing it, but yeah, you can smell the crackling from here. But blackrasslin.com.
Also really quickly, while it may you may quickly overlook it just because of the website design. A couple of these names do have links to features of them from their site. So if you do highlight Obafemi, Naomi, who else did I see? Stephen Wolf was another one. Khan is another. So if you do click them, you get to get articles that they did write up about them, give you a little bit more background about those wrestlers as well.
Yeah, those names are highlighted in kind of like a bold type.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking on a desktop, obviously, and it's you can easily overlook it if you're not you don't have a good eye for it. And my monitors are good, so don't play me. But yeah, I to your point, I could look at this and say I'm totally cool with how everything is. I think the Swerve oversight is a good call by you there, and I think R-Truth definitely will not be sitting in the 50 slot come next year, and I definitely expect a lot of more great things from him to come. But as it stands, it's fine. And also looking from the back of the list, PB Smooth, Ill O'Neil.
Uh-oh. Yeah, I think it's
Jay Bougie, Jordan Blade. I can also see those names. Well, it would help if my internet decided to cooperate with me today.
Yeah, I mean that's.
It might help if I do that. I don't know if my statement got through, but all I'm gonna say is from PB Smooth up to Jordan Blade, and Janai Kai, I can see all of them folks not sitting on anybody's bottom of the list. Regardless of how you want to, rank people and whatnot, definitely expect a lot of great things from them, especially considering the things they've done already. And you can always tell that the trajectory is going up. I mean, hell, you think about Jordan Blade having a blood sport match. I mean, it fits. And getting that rub, you can only imagine what's to come. So. Yeah, we'll see. Shout out to again the homies over at Black Wrestling Podcast with their BRP. I just want to keep calling it BPR. BRP 50. Go to the website at blackwrestling.com. Now, where we at on time here? Okay, we're still moving on time. Now, sir, arguably this week, what you do this week? How about that?
I went to work.
Okay. Did you work today?
No, it's Juneteenth, man.
Yeah, okay, just check it. Because
we'll
for
the wall with that.
It's been a extremely busy week for me with a lot of early films that I saw, and I think all embargoes are up, so I can mention. I mean, I guess I can mention what I saw.
You can mention them, but you can't. You can have an honest reaction, but you can't.
Yeah, I all the review embargoes for everything I'm gonna say is up, but
all right, cool.
I can say, let me see.
It should be if they come out tonight.
Yeah, so F1, saw Ilio, saw 28 Years Later, and I also saw and watched Ironheart. That's a lot that I consumed, even having full work days as well. So I just didn't have the juice to watch any wrestling. And I definitely want to go and catch up today because it was my Juneteenth, whether you know it or not. But we do know that AEW did have a big show down in Mexico. Did get to see a little bit of highlights. Got to see some of the things that kind of came from out of it. Now, first and foremost, they made history because this broadcast now is the first televised event in Mexico that aired live on Max. What's your thoughts about? Did I click out here?
Yeah, you cut off one more time. You said that was the first show to air live on HBO Max from Mexico.
Yes, a AEW show.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Yeah.
so.
So what you think about that, and what did you think about the production, and what do you think about the future of pro wrestling hitting different territories? Streamer services are all getting on board in all capacities now, and the fact that they was able to kind of check that off on their list. What was sort of the reaction to that? Just that note.
So, the short answer to your question is it's great. The longer answer is that, a month ago when we talked about this, because the WWE AAA announcement happened. And then, of course, the WWE AAA show happened just before Money in the Bank. And then, not to be outdone, AEW, who had announced their show earlier, we knew that they were coming to Mexico City, doing the CMLL show. And I think it's obvious, it's easy to compare the two now. WWE bought, controlling interest of AAA and then put on a show. Well, what would that look like? Would it be a WWE show in Spanish or whatever? And we saw it, and it was what it was. And that's fine. It was a great show. This thing had a lot of the CMLL touch on it with, of course, AEW talent. So it was like an AEW show on the away team's court. And that's also fine. The crowd was super into it. They obviously got to see a lot of people that they would only see on TV. It wasn't necessarily a like pay-per-view experience, even though it was a Grand Slam. It wasn't like a 5-hour-long event like the Grand Slams usually are, but it was just a good, better than average Dynamite, which is what Grand Slam usually is. And even though, yes, it is Grand Slam, and yes, it's not in August at the tennis stadium when they would have it somewhere around the U.S. Open time, even though the name Grand Slam doesn't necessarily make much sense anymore, it's still fine. I don't know if they should keep that name or not, but it's still to the point of like the show itself was actually pretty good. They advanced a lot of storylines into the pay-per-view, which is in 3 weeks or so, July 12th, I think. That show is in Texas, so I think a lot of people south of the border, if they haven't thought about making the trip, they might want to make the trip up to the Arlington, Dallas, Fort Worth area for Grand Slam, or not Grand Slam, for All In. And then, of course, you have AEW in Mexico live. That's also a big deal, too, because of the fact that even though North American wrestling is coming south of the border and bringing their brands with them, WWE and AEW, what does that mean for the local fan down there in Mexico, down there in Guatemala, in Chile, in Bolivia, wherever, the network broadcasts the show? Does that make it more impactful knowing that the show is emanating from Mexico? Does that make it more impactful for the Latin fans? Yeah. So, and I would argue that it would, because the crowd was super into everything. Adam Page opening up the show with a promo in Spanish, got over big with the crowd. Ospreay is over, could do no wrong. Yeah. And Max Friedman getting the heel heat that he wants because somebody ran up on him after the show. So,
yeah, what is the news with that? I kind of briefly saw that hit the timeline, and I wasn't quite sure. I mean, it seemed legit. Then I saw something on the lines of why he was working a match the way he did. I mean, he always goes for cheap heat, so no surprise there. But I kind of heard like this was provoked, but also deserved. And I was like, oh, okay, that's a new narrative for him there. So what happened? Who tried to run his pockets? Listen,
so
he better stop playing, man.
Yeah, they play different games down there in Mexico. So you mess around if you want. But so MJF super heel in Mexico obviously came out in the Kurt Angle-esque Americana unitard, wind up demasking or unmasking Mystico, which is, you know, a federal fucking crime in Mexico. You can't do that. And somebody apparently ran up to him after the hotel, after the show at the hotel, and the hotel is next door to the arena in Mexico City. And you know, somebody ran up on him, and security had to step in, and it was all good. But the bottom line is that, yeah, that was kind of like,
I mean, all right. So when you put it like that, I'm like, okay, there's no different than any other wrestling hotel that fans are at, and they overstep their boundaries. So
no, not necessarily, because of the intent. I mean, like, it wasn't that people went up to him and said, "Hey, can you sign my hat? Make it out to eBay, please." But no, they do.
I mean, but it's no different than anybody like having a beef about what happened in the match, and they're saying, you know,
well, yeah, I mean,
know.
It's not like, you know, he's Faye Jackson or something like that, and some, you know, wingnut runs into the ring. Don't worry about that. If you know, you know. But that's okay.
Boy, oh boy.
That's okay. But still, yeah. I mean, that's the heat that Max wanted, and that's the heat that he got. You know.
Yeah. Well, right.
Cool.
Well, kind of taking a look at some of the matches here. So what was that? What just jumped out to me? Oh, I know what I was gonna say. So
you cut out there
what
again.
You gonna do if you won? Oh, I say so. Well, I mean, what's your plans if you win 4 million pesos? Excuse me. What you gonna do with that?
4 million pesos.
Let's actually.
I'm probably going to buy a Switch too.
Let's run that real quick. Oh, 4 million pesos.
I mean, it's like $50,000, something like that.
$210,000.
Yeah.
How
about Switch 2?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you'll definitely buy Switch 2. No problem there. Yeah, I saw that because I saw for the 4-way high stakes match, Hologram Ricochet, Mascara, Dorada, and Leo Rush. So I did see clips of this because I did see the whole thing with Leo and Ricochet. But I was like, high stakes match for 4 million pesos. Definitely a gimmick or what do you call it? A stipulation that I think is kind of whatever. But I guess you got to make it worth something. But yeah, I saw some clips of that, so I definitely probably will take a chance to go back and finish watching the match. Which honestly, thank God for Max, because definitely I can just go back and find things fully now without having to scour through a damn. What's the whole shit we used to have to do? We have to record it on the DVR. Yeah. Rest in peace. Or do people still have that?
Somebody does. Yeah, somebody does.
But anyway, the other one is the CMLL World Women Championship, and as you mentioned, Mercedes Moné just adds another championship to now her not 8 to make 9. I think it is. I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's yeah.
But this makes history for her. And I saw the history thing kind of tagged in a couple of different ways, because it was something about the first person who had won a CMLL championship in NXT, a WWE, and AEW. She becomes the first person to do that.
Yeah, like the Grand Slam champion or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, so you did praise about her starting to catch her legs on her, and I do think her matches have gotten better, and I think the gimmick. I've never been a fan of the gimmick, but I'm less annoyed by it at this rate. But the whole thing about belt collecting is a gimmick in its own, and that's something I'm always not such a fan of. Like, granted, I did love Ultimo Dragon when I was growing up, but that's where I just draw the line. And there was just no one else after that I think I ever really cared to see them accumulate more belts than you actually knew they were going to defend.
Right.
And this seems to be her thing. And I don't know exactly how it ties into the whole CEO thing, because
she's CEO.
So what is your thoughts about obviously this now, her making history? They've already got plenty of matches lined up for her going forward, and just overall now, just where she stands, as she is to be one of the top, talent in AEW? Like, do you feel she's being booked that way? Are you convinced she's top talent? You know, when we talk about the new design of the pillars, you mentioned Toni Storm, but you didn't mention her. And I don't know if it's just because Toni Storm quickly came to your head, but like, do you consider her that in that conversation?
No, I don't. Largely because I don't think that her matches are great. Some of them are good. Most of them are not. And I think, you know, her match with Hayter was good. Her match with Statlander was good. And of course, it was so good they had to run it back 2 times. I think the belt collector thing is something that she kind of needs to do because being the CEO is attributed to some position of power. It doesn't make sense in a wrestling's perspective because we don't know what she's CEO of. And of course, in wrestling, how many guys that aren't the CEO, men and women, that aren't the CEO, come out and just start flexing everything? I mean, Alberto Del Rio was never the CEO of anything, and yet he came out in a new car every week. Ric Flair, definitely not the CEO of anything, but he was on a first name places with pilots and limousines and stuff that he rode in. And so like accumulating wealth, the Young Bucks, you know, when they first started in AEW, their whole thing was that we are EVPs. So we went through that whole arc of EVPs for a couple years until COVID hit. And even still, you know, after the fact, it's still EVPs. And even when they want to lean on being a heel, they lean on the EVP status. So for that reason, especially in AEW, where there's so many people telling you how great they are by flexing whatever wealth they have attributed to it, Mercedes is the CEO. And no one cares because we've seen that before. So that's why, like, Toni Storm is not in the same place when she started. And the matches have been good. So it was so good that the gimmick brought her back. Like, she tried to leave the gimmick. And then the gimmick said, nah, we ain't done. Come on back now. And you know, that's why she shows up in Mexico dressed as Carmen Sandiego because of the whole black and white thing. But you know, but Mercedes, I will give her credit, obviously, because of the fact that she's been able to not necessarily make the CEO thing work. It's still dumb. But being the belt collector gives her some kind of perspective of wealth. Like, oh, she must be somebody because she has 7, 8 belts or whatever it is.
Yeah. Let me say this real quick, and I'm gonna come back to that conversation. We usually had our break here. I'm going to hit the commercial break. We'll come back. We'll finish this conversation. But I wonder, is it a possibility we're overreacting here? But we'll talk about that when we come back.
Okay.
Looking to get your brand in front of people who eat, sleep, and breathe entertainment? Big Gold Belt Media is the place to be. We're all about reporting on movies, TV shows, conventions, and everything in between. And we want your brand to be a part of the action. Partnering with us means your sponsorships get featured right in the midst of our content. Plus, we're going to hype you up on all of our social media, connecting you with an audience that loves discovering new things from trusted voices in entertainment. We're easy to find. Just look for us on Big Gold Belt on all your social media platforms. Don't wait. Reach out today and let's start building something amazing together. Your spotlight is waiting here at Big Gold Belt Media, biggoldbelt.com.
All right, folks. So, long story short, work with us, collaborate with us. If you're looking to do something with Big Gold Belt Media, we have plenty of options, opportunities, and we're definitely happy to work. Now, coming back on the flip side of this Mercedes Moné conversation, I did a little bit of Google searching because that's what we do. I don't have a producer, so I have to produce my own little notes and tidbits right now. So I Googled, why do they call Mercedes Moné CEO? And it says she describes herself as being the standard, the topic, the conversation, the blueprint, and the CEO of the women's division in New Japan Pro Wrestling, Stardom, and AEW. So then I said, who are the top CEOs of the world? And obviously this is a no-brainer because everybody knows these names. Elon Doge Musk, Tim Cook, Mark Zuckerberg, Bob Iger. I mean, the list, the company, and to my thing is like, I don't see the correlation. I don't hear when I read the definition, I don't see it sort of in the gimmick, and when I look at the list of names, I don't see her kind of sitting in that same sort of company. Honestly, it's kind of criminal that her and Swerve hasn't done anything collaboratively in a way that makes sense. Because the mogul thing, yes, absolutely get it. You're working with top talent in the industry coming in. You know, you make a call, Rick Ross shows up, the list goes on and on and on. And plus, when you think about the things you're doing outside of wrestling, you're like, oh, this makes sense. He's making mogul moves. The CEO thing just has never worked for me. So then that brings back my question I asked before we go to a break. Are we overreacting here? Are we overthinking this? Do we just allow the CEO thing to be said and we just go with it without actually, or should I say, extending disbelief as to what we actually know CEOs are?
So what's the thing that we're overreacting to specifically?
Thinking a little too critical about this, maybe?
About her being the CEO, the fact that she okay. And the reason why I say no to that is because you just brought up Swerve. Swerve was, you know, mogul industries or whatever it was. He led that group, worked with people inside and outside, got people to join, kicked them out, worked with you know, Khan and Brian Cage and whatever.
Yeah.
We saw that he was building an empire to take over the wrestling landscape. And if he were to be the leader of that with his right-hand man, he would have been the CEO of that group that is trying to rule the wrestling world of AEW. So literally, Swerve was the CEO before Mercedes gets in there. And he didn't ever say it. He just went out and did it. And he definitely didn't have that goofy ass dance to accompany with. Now, he didn't spray paint his hair, CEO. You know, he didn't make a Def Rebel like song, CEO. I mean, but he went out and did all of those things. And even if he didn't, MVP did the same thing too with the Hurt Business, the Hurt Syndicate, and so on and so forth. Now, granted, don't get me wrong. You name, you know, who was the dude from Google, Patel, and Zuckerberg, Musk, and everybody else. You know, Walton, all of them, right? Rockefeller, you know, Carnegie. Oh, keep on going, right? All of them, all of them, just throughout history, all of them.
Yeah.
How many of them, those CEOs, make you actually go, "Oh shit, I didn't know he was a CEO," until he danced his way out of the board meeting telling us that.
Yeah.
So to be fair, the CEO thing didn't make sense because there was nothing behind it. So when Mercedes walked into the room and said, "I run shit," and people went, "Where? What do you run? What is your company? What are you the CEO of? Show us." And others that lead their group showed us, whether it was Alberto Del Rio with his, you know, wealth, or Swerve with his connections, or Bobby Heenan, or whatever it was. You know, a good manager, you know, can bring all of that together, or a good leader of a group can bring all of that together. You know, and then Mercedes just says that I'm the CEO, and then she spray paints a wig CEO, and it's like, oh, yeah, this doesn't work. And her theme song is trash. So let's just like, that's also part of it too. But now that she has all of these belts, even though it still doesn't jive with the whole CEO thing, it is still to the point of she has weight behind her name now.
Yeah.
Even though the CEO thing doesn't necessarily make sense, like literally doesn't make sense, you still have to put some respect to her name because of the belt collector gimmick that she's running. So it's still not even about the CEO. It is still about the belt collector, but there still is something to it. And then also, on top of that, having decent matches with established talent
all over the world.
Because remember, this is the Mercedes that we've been waiting for a couple of years now. She got hurt in New Japan, took a year off. She got then, you know, she left, and it was a whole thing. So unfortunately, she was a bit snake bit there. But the whole thing with Willow and everything like that coming back, and then going back to New Japan and Stardom and all that. If this is what we were kind of what we were waiting for, and now that it's kind of had some legs to it because she has all of these belts, it's like, all right, cool. CEO doesn't make sense, but we'll give you the belt collector gimmick.
Well, shout out to the writers on that note, or does she have creative control? But who knows? That's my thing, because I feel like, and for the folks that know me, they're going to say I'm just hating. Because I have definitely had thoughts about her for a while. And nothing personally, just all wrestling. But my thing about it is that I feel that Mercedes Moné can radiate bigger than any talent on that roster at a point, and definitely don't feel that way now. I feel like there's definitely people that can compete with her neck and neck in terms of the things outside of the space of pro wrestling. So if you're working the CEO thing, and there's businesses that I'll say that she's launched and things that she has copyrights for. But I mean, like, I guess for me, there's this expectation of, and I don't know, this may be a little bit of a reach, but like after the work with the Mandalorian and getting that Disney check, after doing Fashion Show Weekend and having your agent and when you were, before you signed to AEW, we can almost see you any and everywhere, showing up at the big events, red carpets and whatnot. And you understand that because she was a name that you said, yeah, she deserves to be in the space. And this is only the beginning. When I think about her and I hear like the CEO, you take the wrestling part aside, which you already broke down. But I think of the likes of somebody like Kylie Jenner. Like whatever she do, people are consuming any type of product, venture, whatever it is. This whole little thing a week ago where she wore a tank top. I almost called it the other name, and I don't know if that's the name that everybody calls it. So if you know, you know.
We ain't calling it that on Juneteenth, man. Don't calm down.
But she wore a tank top, and then it went viral that everybody's like, yo, simple tank tops are in, which I own about 100 of them because that's just the type of person I am. But like the fact that she wore tank tops and everybody says they want tank tops now, I feel like Mercedes Moné, that she at a point commands that sort of attention where like if she touches something, she does something, she endorses something, if she establishes something, people are going to buy. And thus the CEO thing there instantly works for me. Kylie Jenner.
Is she that person though? I mean, like for example, is Mercedes the Rihanna of AEW?
I truly feel like she could. That her signing there and everything she did before she signed there, that was the trajectory I saw her going. Swerve does it now. Swerve has the shoe deal. He has music. He's worked collaboratively with multiple folks. He's done movie stuff. It's like anywhere he goes, he's kind of making a big deal of it. He's done mainstream interviews. She's done interviews. She has not been sort of in that Disney space. The Mandalorian has a movie, by the way. You would think, like, is she going to show up in that? Yes, no, maybe not. Who knows? But like it's just the idea that like it was never hate against her. I just always expected her to be so much more because she was definitely playing in a way bigger space than most people were at the time. Where most people were just thinking about wrestling careers, we saw that she instantly understood that there was more out of it and above it. And that's the thing. And then again, the comparison here is, well, when Jade went to WWE, and once she got the wrestling stuff started to get under her, then we started to see her start flourishing in different places and ways. I mean, she had a Super Bowl commercial where he was like, yeah, that makes sense. Now we see that she's about to be in a movie. Yeah, that makes sense. We saw the moment that she got signed, it was in every outlet. Yeah, that makes sense. So that's just always been my thing. And I think that as a compliment to her,
wait a minute, the CEO, isn't Jade actually like a CEO of a women's softball league or something like that?
I didn't say it, you did, but yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, what are we talking about here? And Jade's been wrestling for like 25 minutes total. So I mean, don't get me like, we were shocked when Jade was left for WWE, but we also knew that the backing, the corporate machine behind WWE, would take her a lot further. Now, obviously, Jade being in a movie, Jade, and doing other things before she even got to WWE. Definitely has the look. Definitely has something that's more attainable than wrestling. But it's still about the wrestling, and matches matter. And Jade has been in some decent, programs with top talent in the WWE's women's division. Hell, she's involved in one now.
Yeah.
Now, granted, WWE and AEW's work, style are different, and then maybe that plays into something that Jade can use more as the type of wrestler that she is. Whereas, Mercedes wants to be the work rate and get out there and show, that's why she has 7 belts and stuff like that, because she's the women's wrestler's wrestler. But realistically, if it's about CEO, if it's about star power, if it's about Q scores and stuff like that, I still not buying into Mercedes for that reason. But it is still, you can't argue against carrying more belts than you can carry.
Yeah. I think people just turn a blind eye to it because she's the CEO because she has a lot of belts.
Well, that makes more sense than her being the CEO a year and a half ago.
I don't know, but again, when I think about CEOs, does Tim Cook has 1,000 cars? You think?
Even if he didn't, it doesn't matter whether he does or he doesn't. We know that he could if he wanted to. Bezos is the CEO, was a CEO, and now he's CEO of something else. But what does he do for fun? Throws his shit into space and watch it fall back down. So it's not about, once you get to a certain level, you don't have to prove anything anymore.
Is she at that level?
No.
Okay.
No, that's why she has 9 belts. Because she's still trying to establish herself as the thing that she's telling everybody that she is. I'm the CEO. We don't believe you. You need more people. It is what it is at this point. So then now that she's doing the belt collector thing, oh yeah, I'm starting to buy into the CEO thing because she has something attainable that people can see that has weight and adds weight to her name. Mark Zuckerberg's pays more in t-shirts than I do for rent. Literally, I looked it up. His t-shirts cost more than my rent. And and that's ridiculous that he has, a year's worth of rent folded in his sock drawer at home. Yeah. And the point is that he can do that as a CEO because he has something that is actually attainable. And whether that's his name on on Facebook or Meta or whatever, he has his name on stuff. We know that he's a CEO. So we're not surprised that he's spending, that his t-shirt costs, more than my rent. So it is what it is. But now that Mercedes has these belts, it adds to her name. And when she says she's the CEO and she flosses her 9 belts from around the world too, that's also a thing. It's Japan, it's Mexico, it's AEW, and she wants both women's belts in AEW. Going out to starting the program with Tony Storm now. So yeah, she's starting to get weight to her name, which makes the CEO thing more believable.
Yeah. All right, so let's get to our last topic. And Monday night, there have been rumors that, and I know you all talked about it last week with Jey Uso dropping the title. Yeah. Was it the right move? Premature thoughts and all that. So check out last week's episode on that. And then there had been rumors as to why that might have been the thing. Also, really quickly, something I had to just quickly go check. I knew there was a feud between Mercedes and Athena, and I was like, wait, was that for the ROH Championship? But that was for the Owen Hart Cup Championship. It's interesting that the belt collector gimmick did not have her confiscate the ROH Women's Championship on the way. But, conversation for another day or time or something. But anyway, there have been rumors.
CEO doesn't go behind the paywall of honor. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I guess. There have been rumors that the reason why Gunther was going to reclaim the belt because there was plans down the line. And when I heard the rumors, I say, well, when's the next show in Saudi Arabia? When's Riyadh season? Because it only makes sense that, you say you say that name and he appears. And we're definitely not talking about Joe Hendry, but yes, we are talking about Goldberg, who did return to Raw Monday night. And he told Gunther he's next. And they lined this up for July 12th in Atlanta for Saturday night's main event. We know Goldberg's from Atlanta. We know that Goldberg said he wanted a retirement tour. We already see that they got the merch for it. Goldberg got something more in the tank. The last match may have said otherwise. And I think he hasn't wrestled in about 3 years. And that's a little interesting that he comes back and he instantly gets the title match. There's a lot to really break down with this. We got 10 minutes to go before we hit our hour. So first thing I want to say before I throw it to you is Goldberg still gets one hell of a pop. And I ain't gonna lie, I did pop too. But I think there's something to be made with that he can still connect with the fans. Obviously, they like him in Saudi Arabia, which is why I thought that's where they were going to book that match, because that's where they typically book him at. He decides to get that Saudi money every single time they're near a return visit there. But, the fact that they're using Saturday night main event now in a way that I think they should, and I think it's cool, and I think it always has a cool aesthetic and feel to it, and that it's a perfect synergy that is going to be in Atlanta, what happens to be his hometown. Good for them. So Gunther versus Goldberg definitely feels like a dream match-ish type of thing. Definitely something you might want to do on WWE 2K. But it's happening in real life. And one, I think this satisfies Goldberg for his retirement requirements. And Gunther, I think it reestablishes him as your top guy, because this whole little last run he had, being unconfident, unsure, tapping out or whatever it may be, I think this is definitely a good step, because we know Goldberg is intense. You got to put respect on his name. And I think that we get back the Ring General Gunther that we all knew that was killing everything that came in his path a year or something ago. So for you, what is your thoughts about Goldberg this match? Who do you think wins it? What needs to happen here? Because don't forget, this is Goldberg's retirement tour, I would say. And he hasn't wrestled in 3 years. And now he's getting the main event championship match. What's your thoughts here? Also, really quick, one more thing. Goldberg also getting a shot at the title that definitely resembles the big gold, which we know that is a belt that is synonymous with his career. Is definitely something that I kind of like. I'm not mad at that at all. They pulled the trigger on that. To see him with that title across his waist, definitely is like, yeah, I can get behind that. But yeah, anyway, what's your thoughts?
Yeah. Why? So first of all, if they have to do Gunther versus Goldberg because this is the final countdown, he's getting his retirement run, then fine. Realistically, I'm glad that it's on Saturday night's main event instead of pay-per-view. That does give something that does give the show a little bit something extra. And sure, it's in Atlanta, and that's going to be a big deal for the locals down there. Okay, cool, no problem. But otherwise, why? Who asked for this? Who authorized this? Who thought this was a good idea? What did Gunther do to piss everybody off so that he gets stuck in the program with Goldberg? but fine. Goldberg's got to fight somebody, and it is his retirement tour. So since he has to fight somebody, Gunther is a person that can get him through the match. And when I say get him through the match, it's because Goldberg limped his dumb ass down to the ring on Monday. I mean, he was definitely sporting a Charlie horse, as he tried to Kevin Nash's way into the ring.
I think he always went like that, but that could be true. But yeah, go ahead.
This is different. This is different because he was walking worse than when he concussed himself going down to the ring. So I don't know. I don't know if your boy's gonna make it to Atlanta. But yeah, but Gunther's a good guy. Obviously, he can work with anybody. We're not expecting much. It's a Saturday Night Main Event is that a 2-hour show or a 1-hour show?
2 hours. 2 hours.
Okay. So yeah, so I think that Gunther and Goldberg can get through a 15-minute segment or what's going to turn out to be, a 7-minute match max. So it's something that's going to happen. It's going to be a lot of build up, but realistically, it's not exactly like a crazy, I wouldn't make too much of a big deal about this. If you think about it long enough and hard enough, your head will hurt. But for what it is, it's exactly where it needs to be. On Saturday night's main event in Atlanta, it's the perfect setup for it. I don't think that too much more needs to happen. And obviously, he's not getting the Cena run with 30 dates. Give him 5 dates. Let him go out, and then we can talk about what that looks like to be the end of the end with his kid there and all that stuff too. Much further down the road, but I don't like it. But that doesn't mean that I'm mad at it, because if it took up more time, then that would be something to be concerned about. But nope, they're building a match for Saturday night's main event. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, you just bring up a point here. I said, okay, let's see. So we are in June. Okay, so we have Night of Champions, June 28th. So right, listen. This I won't be surprised if he's not on that show as well in some capacity. So we have Night of Champions, June 28th, which is in Saudi Arabia, which is Goldberg's second home. So it makes sense. He'll be July 12th, obviously at Saturday Night Main Event, as we discussed. And the next few shows is in Evolutions there. We go to New Jersey for SummerSlam, Clash in Paris, which is obviously in France, Crown Jewel, which is in Perth, which is cool for them to have Perth 2 years in a row. And the Survivor Series is in San Diego.
At Petco.
Yep. I'm very much considering that. And then Royal Rumble was in Saudi Arabia. Won't be surprised if Goldberg is there too. It just makes sense. And I think he was getting impatient. And I'm just, for one, them to work the deal and treat him as the legend he is, I gotta respect that. And I'm sure us, the old timers, we got a problem with it. But like at the end of the day, he came out to a pop, and that speaks for something. And if it's gonna move merch, sell tickets, then so be it. We'll deal with it. Saturday night main event in Atlanta, perfect place to do this. And we're gonna see how it plays out. So I feel very dicey in saying Goldberg wins, and if he wins there, then he takes it to SummerSlam. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, not mad at that. And then what? Gunther becomes a 3-time champ because he wins it back. Also, not mad at that either. Run up his accolades, So I definitely think there's something to be worked with there, and I also think that Goldberg having a championship definitely feels a little nostalgic for the folks who may need interest into watching SummerSlam. You see Goldberg with it, like, oh, Goldberg's still wrestling. You see Gunther with it, you're definitely going to respect him because he looks like a champion. Yeah. But you probably still need to bring in some of those OGs to spend some tickets in New Jersey for sure.
Now what happens when who retires Goldberg, and why is it John Cena?
Because it makes sense. It's like it's what do you call it? An unmovable object.
Yeah, irresistible force.
Yeah, whatever that is. Because it's like y'all both got to go. So like
exactly. Like I don't like if you're going to go through with it with the Goldberg run, and whatever that looks like, 5 or 6 dates, then I absolutely think, especially since Cena's on this hell of a heel run for his final run, let him retire Goldberg.
Yeah, because there's no way Sting picks up the phone, right?
Oh no.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll end it on that.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the nice episode of the Big O Boat Wrestling Podcast. I'm sure the team will be back next week. I might be back next week as well too. Like I said, it's crazy with all of the coverage and stuff coming out. So with that being said, I've already mentioned what I saw. F1 Ilio 28 years later. I'm going to say thumbs up to Ilio, thumbs in the middle for F1, thumbs down for 28 years later. I can't say nothing about Ironheart. And then next week, I believe Megan and Jurassic World, was it Evolution? I think those are
that's in July. Megan 2.0 is next week, and F1 is next week.
Oh, I mean when I'm seeing. I'm sorry, not when it comes out. Yeah. And so I might be able to give a little blurb about that too. What did you see? What are you interested in? Thoughts about whatever you have saw?
Okay, yeah, real quick. Dangerous Animals was super weird.
Heard that was. Wait, you saw that? That's a horror film.
It is, and I know climate change, man. Climate change. Yeah, Dangerous Animals was super weird, and it's not the horror movie that you think it is. It is more thrilling than it is horrific. If you are absolutely afraid of sharks, the open water, and nighttime, and all three of those things combined, so absolutely, that's a problem for you. I don't really care about that because we eat sharks and I'm good. But yeah, the movie was very interesting. And then if you are a fan of the K-pop group Red Velvet, like I am, their movie, which was released in Korea and a bunch of other locations, is coming to the US this weekend. So I'm actually going to see that on Saturday. Studio Ghibli Fest runs throughout the summer. Ariettes this weekend. Yeah. And then of course I do want to see Dan Dadan. The movie.
I thought that came out like last week or something.
It came out last week, and I haven't had a chance to see it yet. But that came out last week, though, so I will be trying to see that this weekend. Yeah, I don't really care about Elio, and I really don't care about 28 years later because that movie should have come out 15 years ago. I saw the first two, but that movie is 15 years overdue. But and I don't really care about The Materialist. I might see The Life of Chuck because I've heard good things about that, and I still need to see The Phoenician Scheme. So. I'll do that too. Good.
Hey, the Big Go Belt Wrestling Podcast is live each and every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can follow and catch up with us on all things that we discuss here and beyond at biggobelt.com. And then the easy way to catch up with us on the live, you can go to biggobelt.com/live, or you can go to X, Twitch, YouTube, all the video streaming platforms. And if you want to catch the podcast is available on all podcast platforms after the show airs. So that being said, we appreciate everybody checking us out tonight, and we'll catch y'all back next week for another episode here. Thank you for watching, folks.